Oh my god, I haven't introed in a minute.
Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your girl, Ransom, and I am back at you with another episode. I hope you've been enjoying the episodes we've had thus far. They've just been continuing to grow, and the people that are coming on here are just such interesting creatures. I just fucking love it. And the conversations are just so fun, and we were just having a good time, and it's just like all the good stuff. So I'm grateful. But today I have with me a dear friend, and we're going to have like the most randomest conversation. I don't know, but like first let me have her introduce herself. Go on, girl.
Yeah, so I'm Rachel. I go by RainbowwRach online and kind of in person too, but I'm a former cannabis scientist turned medicine woman, and that's me.
Yes. She also has an oracle deck that she created, and I did a review, which is still on my YouTube. So you could go watch it and like go see all of that. But it was a great deck. I loved it. It was small. It's perfect. I have tiny hands. It was like everything. Yeah. But let's talk about your transition from cannabis scientist to medicine woman to like being where we are now. Yeah, because it's like there was a point where we were like rocking side by side, doing the things, getting all the events out, posting, getting all the marketing done. Like it was just very like consistent, and then we kind of all, I think, were like, we're gonna hermit. Yeah. And everything just like pulled back and just rebranded and made sure we were doing things like again from an authentic space and like making sure we're sticking with our purpose and passion. So
definitely. So I was in cannabis science. I moved to Colorado to be a cannabis genetic scientist. I got in the dispensary world and kind of networked through there, and then I met my former boss through that process, and then worked as in cannabis science for 2 years. Loved it. Ended up getting laid off in COVID, and then that really, I started my RainbowwRach in like the very end of 2019, so right before the pandemic, and so I kind of was like, oh, this is my sign to pursue this stuff, and I really started it with like painting and meditation videos mostly, and it just kind of like spiraled into healing and doing readings and putting out courses, and then at one point I started kind of getting back into corporate America. I think not you and I had a podcast about that, but another friend of mine, similar vibes, had a podcast about like creating the safety in entrepreneurship, because sometimes you get in this survival mode where obviously we need money to live, so you get in this space of like, I want to heal people and I want to do this, but now I'm also stressing about bills. So I started dipping back into the corporate world, and then I ended up getting a job in 2024 at like a global brand, and lately I've been I have this whole passion for, and really set this intention years ago of like, I really want to make my business about putting people over profit and just changing how work is done. Like people just treat employees like a number and forget that they're human beings and just it's like almost modern day slavery. But you're paying them, so it's like, oh, it's okay to treat people like shit, right? When really that's not the case. And I thought that my RainbowwRach would be the place where I do this, but I'm kind of seeing now like maybe I can do this on a global scale at this company that's already been established, and I'm already making changes. I've only been there for 2 years now. But I've already made some changes, and I keep firing back on things that I don't agree with. And it's kind of just been that progression. You know, you've talked about also not being so into the healing, and I feel like you and I both just embody our healing so much now, and it comes naturally. It's not really something that you have to like be so outwardly expressed with in our work and all of that, because it is so just a part of us and who we are.
Absolutely. And also, now that I'm thinking about it, we did do an episode on your channel about, what was it called? But it was about working, because I was at
Oh yeah, I have no idea the title, but
yeah, I was like, but we did do an episode where we talked about, because I also decided to dabble back into the corporate world, and that was just during this whole transition of like trying to save my ass from being evicted. Which at the end of the day, I also was like, I don't even care, because I was also being kind of like petty,
right?
And it was well deserved, but anyway, I was like, okay, let's like try to do this. And I tried to find like a job that was like not so much customer service based, because I'd already been doing that, and that is just such a drainer. Like, no matter how you're working, even if it's a like freaking like call center, like that shit's a fucking drainer. And so I was like, oh yeah, let me get kind of like a night, maybe early morning, like 6 a.m. And so I was doing operations inventory. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be easy. Stocking stuff. And then, but that's the thing is like, I think it took me only like a week before I was like, oh my God. I fucking hate it here.
Well, I think the people you were working with too was a big part of that issue, and when that makes or breaks a corporate job, and it's not. And
it's also just like we were saying, it's like they start you off with like, hey, here's what your job responsibilities are, but then as you get in, they're like, but you're gonna learn everybody else's job, because we're a team, and we all have to know each other's thing, because we should help each other. And it's like, what do you like? I came here for inventory, and now I'm supposed to apply makeup. I don't even do makeup myself. And I'm supposed to help match foundation right now. Like, this is like not at all productive. Like, please keep me in the back. Like,
it's not what I signed up for.
This is not what I signed up for. But it was just like, you know, trying to have that like optimism, like, of like, okay, maybe we can balance both. And then that's when I was like, yeah, no, for me, mine was like, get back into your fucking business. Get back into your business. Like, you do not want to be here, clearly, and we're about to get you kicked out. So you're about to kick yourself out, or they're about to do it for you. So it's like, fuck. Okay. So,
I definitely had have experienced even just work friendships, and then when I started moving up in the company, it changed for some people. And even like with online businesses and being on social media and stuff, I mean, I have abortion video on my YouTube, I have like postpartum depression videos, so a lot of people will comment things there, and I'm kind of like used to the online world not understanding me. But then when I got into corporate, and then former friends started misunderstanding me and seeing me, that was like a whole growth lesson for me of just being like, not everyone's gonna like you, and you're used to it online, but it hurts more in person when it's people that have known you. But that's been its own journey and evolution.
Because like they're so caught up in that loop of like, I gotta wake up and suffer and go to work and barely eat and be stressed and like, be stuck in traffic and go home and then do it all over again. Like, they don't even have the capacity to like do anything else. And that was what we had talked about in our episode too, of just like how easily you get swept up into this like the energy, the routine that they have you in, where it's like you do forget about yourself. And it's like, unless you're intentional or aware and being like, hold on, I need to ground real quick. Like, I need to take a 10. Like, I need to take a break or something. Versus the other ones are like, it's fine, I'm just going to power through it. Oh, they said they need somebody here until like 10. I'm going to just get the extra hours. And it's like, fuck this.
I'll drink an energy drink. It's fine. I'll have a meat stick. It's like, that's such a culture thing that I just can't get behind. And I even get wrapped up in it too. Like, if I'm not on my practices, or I'm working 6 days in a row and I'm not paying attention to like, my body hurts, maybe I should like stop and try to feel better. But I do feel like it's good to kind of be that example for people. And I know a lot of people that have been at this job for like 20 years, and they're just so used to their back hurting or this hurting or that, and I'm like, what do you do when you get home? And
Right.
they're like, well, I watch TV, I drink some beer, I'll like take a bath. I'm like, great, love the bath, and like great to veg out. But it's really about a lifestyle change. Like, are you gonna take care of your body, or are you just gonna keep working and working and working and not actually taking care of your body? So, and on my breaks, I'm out there and like putting my feet up the wall on the picnic tables.
Yeah.
I'm by a tree, you know, in the sunshine, and people are like, and it used to be just me, and now I feel like I've given other people, the other weirdos, permission to also be weird.
Yeah.
And it's created this like kind of subculture within this bigger culture at work of like not taking care of yourself, just running on energy drinks, to like the people that do take care of themselves, the people that are into like tarot and oracle decks and that want to, you know, not be sucked into this corporate machine that just runs you. And yeah, it's been cool to kind of see the culture shift.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's always great to give people permission and to be like, hey, it's all good. But also it's just that reminder of rest is important in all of these aspects. Even if it's just 5 minutes. Right. Intentional rest is like, it'll keep you going throughout the day.
Definitely.
Especially when it is a hard day or there's a lot of things going on. And like where I was in the mall. So it was like one of the busiest malls too. So I was like, oh,
it's a lot of people.
So it's like, even if I wasn't at my job, it's like I'm still around all these people who are just in this like mindset of like shop, spend money. And then you have all the kids who don't have nowhere else to be. And then you're dealing with all of them and you're just like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? Right. I want to go back to your cannabis days because I meant to ask that earlier. But like, what got you into that?
So I originally was majoring in biology in college to study sharks. I've been into sharks, in particular great whites, since I was little, like 4th grade. I think I read this book called Shark Lady, and this was also where like the business side came in, because she had a lab in Florida called Moat Marine Lab, and she started it. She was like one of the first female scientists, and they were facing operational struggles, and she was like, you know what, I'm actually going to cut into my paycheck and not fuck with my employees' paychecks. Like, I have a husband that's a doctor, I'm fine. But I really looked up to her, and she just gave me this love for sharks. And so it was that. And then my dad kind of sat me down my sophomore year. He's like, I don't know if sharks is like the most feasible like career path. Which is funny now, because I've seen people make that into careers, and you know, and yeah, and he had the best intentions, but you know, for me it was like, okay, well, I'll either go into cancer or cannabis research, because those are the most exciting. This was 2012 or like 2013, so there wasn't as much research as there is now. It was a very new frontier and like a lot of unknowns, so that was exciting to me. And then by the time, God, when was that? That was my undergrad research I did in algal biofuels. So still like with plants and trying to see, you know, what these plants can help us with. And then I got an internship at this lab in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's where I was from. And I went to school in Oklahoma, and
Oklahoma.
Yeah. But we were testing, God, what was that research? I'm like trying to even think now. I was basically just testing like samples that the DEA had taken from drug dealers. But that research was very futile, because you're taking samples that are from drug dealers. It's not from a lab. It's not like, you know, you don't actually know what it's labeled. So we were looking at the THCA synthase gene, and I ended up being published from that, just being the researcher on it, being one of them. I was kind of like this doctorate candidate's like lab bitch, basically, running all the PCR and doing that.
I love that for you.
No, literally. I'm like, hey, I got published, so that's fine.
A win is a win.
Yeah, but it opened this whole world, because from that I was like, wow, we really didn't find anything from these results. I was so driven, and I was like, I want to find all the answers in these plants. And then when she had published the article, it was like, complex variability is within the THCA and CBDA synthase genes. And it was like, so basically fancy words to say, we don't know shit.
Oh.
And there's a lot going on and we don't know. Like, that's basically what it says. And I've talked to other cannabis scientists about this, and they're like, yeah, that's kind of your like initiation as a scientist. You realize like you're kind of disillusioned of like, yeah, you do all this work for years and then you can put out a paper and it looks great on paper, but when you actually read the article and you can actually decipher what they're saying, it really is saying, hey, we didn't really find anything, and there's just a lot of variability here.
Oh shit. Fuck.
And it was cool to like be in that world, and I'm glad I had that experience. But from there, that was like right before I had graduated. So I graduated school, I moved to Colorado like 2 days after my lease was up. And I had no job. My sister let me surf on her couch. And for like 3 months, I was doing that, living rent-free, just off my sister. So forever grateful to her for that. And then I found a job at a dispensary. And then I was also working at a CBD company as like, I just got a sales job. So I was like, whatever. Ended up moving into their lab. It... again, the treatment of the people, and I saw someone get fired there because they wouldn't lie to the USDA about like organic practices. And I was like, this isn't for me. So went full time at the dispensary, started as a receptionist, worked my way up to director of operations. So really got both sides of like, we had 3 grows and then a medical and a rec license there. So I was just managing day-to-day operations. And then, like I said, I had networked enough there to work into this genetics company and loved it. We would like smoke. We grew CBD and had 300 plants per like strain, because you have to have a lot to study. And so when it was like harvest season, we'd just have jars of CBD bud around and just like smoke it during our meetings, and everyone was... It was just such a like fun time, but it was, you know, startup vibes. And yeah, we had a lab. The lab was in Loveland, and then we had like research. We had 3 research plots, and yeah, it was a time.
The vibe. No, I love that, because it's just so like, I remember when I first met you, because obviously I met you as a doula, and so when I got knowledge of that, I was like, wow.
I know.
I was like, that's fucking dope. I was like, I didn't know like you could really do that.
Yeah.
So, but
I didn't either, to be honest. I just like knew I wanted to do it, and it literally, one day I was like, wait, I am a genetics, like I'm working in a genetics lab. Like, this is what I set out to do. And it's funny how like you set these goals and then you make them happen, but it takes you being present and really looking at like what you've done and being like, wait, I am doing the thing that I said I was going to do, even though it doesn't feel like it. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And like, you've incorporated this cannabis wisdom into like your transition into the woo-woo world. So like, let's talk about that. Like,
yeah, I mean, cannabis was like the first herb. I mean, probably lavender was the first herb that really broke me open when I was younger.
Ooh, good old lavender.
Yeah, and I still love me some linalool. But
ooh, yes.
But yeah, that was, cannabis was so, I was so just such a nerd for it, and being like, this is the plant that's going to heal the world. And then I started looking into other herbs, and as you know, I love my spliffs.
Yes.
And so for anyone that doesn't know, a spliff is a little sprinkle of tobacco with some cannabis, but I also incorporate all of these other herbs into it. So I used to just do lavender and cannabis, and then I started researching lung health herbs in particular, like in COVID.
Right.
So I would add mullein to all of my stuff. Lobelia is also a great one. Just
poor man's tobacco.
Yeah. A little disclaimer about lobelia: do not make it into a tea; it will make you throw up.
It is extremely accurate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, like if you take like 1 drop of a tincture, and that's like all you need.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to.
But it's that one's great for spasms too. So we were just talking before we recorded about like, you know, pulling I really am prone to back pulls, especially when I'm about to get my period.
Yeah.
So I usually will sprinkle that in, especially if I feel myself getting tight. And it's better on your body than, say, an NSAID that's gonna, your kidney has to filter it, and it's just,
they're
great, and I'm happy for pharmaceuticals when I need them, but if I can use herbs in place of pharmaceuticals, then like I'm going to.
100%.
So cannabis just really opened me up to this world of herbs, and now it used to be like, oh, cannabis is going to heal the world, and now I'm like, oh no, herbs can heal the fucking world.
Herbs are going to heal the world.
Especially when you like add that magic element into it, and you can do it in your cooking with basil and oregano and you know, your rosemary for protection. And I've made I started doing lavender simple syrup with lavender that I grow, and then I put rosemary in there too. And then when I put it in my matcha in the morning, combo. Right, and then it's like protection and calm, and you just get to be like a little, like a mystical chef that's also like, what do I want to do for the day? And it's just been so cool to open up to all the possibilities with all different herbs and not just cannabis.
I think with like your story too, it's very similar to like anybody who kind of goes down the herbalism route. We always have that one herb, whether it is cannabis or lavender or like dandelion, that kind of like sets the path of like, let's learn more of how we can play. And then you just remember that these things have been accessible since Earth has been alive, and it's like, why aren't we doing this? And so it is about like what is it, like deconstructing and coming back to what is natural and what is meant. And it's like, it's true, there are herbs that are very potent and work just like the best drug ever, especially if you're in pain. But it also is with the sense of like believing it too. Right. It's like that placebo effect of like, huge, if you don't believe it's gonna work, then it's probably not, because your body's starting to reject it for that simple knowledge. It's like we say, like, if you say your body's invincible, your body will be invincible. Exactly. But at the moment you say like, oh, I can't, or my body's gonna get sick, it will. And
for sure. Or even the people that are like, this shit doesn't work. Then I'm like, then it's not going to work for you. Like, I work with someone who's like, this lady used to bring me shrooms and salves, and it just doesn't work. And I'm like, shrooms doesn't work for you?
That's
like,
crazy.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, right. You're like, what do you mean it doesn't
work?
Like,
did you take an eighth? Like, what do we do? Like, how much?
Microdose?
Yeah, like, what are we doing? So,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's such a huge component of it is your belief in it, and just how you go into the medicine. Because if you are taking a pharmaceutical thinking this is going to work, that's going to help with the effectiveness. Same thing with herbs and all of that. It's going to help with the effectiveness if you actually have a belief that it's going to do something for you.
Okay, I have a question. So I try to participate in Ramadan.
Oh, yes.
Right? And part of that was letting go of smoking weed. More so my experiment here was to see if I had like an addictive personality or if weed truly is addictive. Right. Because I hear people, you'll hear a lot of people who are like, weed is addictive because it, like the cannabinoids can affect your stomach and all that stuff, right? But then also I'm like, I just think you guys are using it as a clutch, like an escapism. Like I was like, let me reevaluate my relationship. Like, am I truly using it for decompression? Yeah. Otherwise going in it as like plant medicine ceremony and saying like, hey, open me up, show me what I need to see. Or am I like doing this out of a subconscious, like
habitual thing?
Yeah. And so it's like, you know, what I know of like cannabis is like there's so many things involved. It's not about the indica or sativa. It's about like the terps and like other things, because you can get cannabis that's not going to stimulate your stomach or will stimulate your stomach. So like, is marijuana addictive or is it the person? Like, so
interesting. And just a quick note on Ramadan for anyone who doesn't know, it's a Muslim holiday. It ends with Eid. But it's, like a month long of you fast from sunup to sundown. And it's supposed to just, you know, it's like a practice in devotion, basically. And I'm still torn on this. Like, I think, so I don't have an addictive personality. But I found myself doing the habitual cannabis smoking, especially with my spliffs. And again, we had talked about before we recorded, I got a mouth surgery on my gums, and my doctor was like, I told him, can I smoke spliffs? I had to explain what a spliff was first.
He was like, you want dry mouth?
No, literally. He's like, what is this like, cannabis and weed, why would you do that together? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, but always educating our doctors, you know, got to. But during that, I really was taking my healing seriously, and like, I'm not going to smoke, and I'm just going to do edibles. And it did make me realize, like, I'm doing this a little bit more habitually than I would want to. Mm-hmm. And it, you know, just gave me that same awareness that, like, I do think it can be habitual. I don't think it's necessarily a chemical addiction unless you have the genes that like switched on. Like, we have thousands of genes in our body. They're switched on or switched off. So you can have an addiction gene, but if it's not switched on, then you're not going to face those same challenges as a full-blown addict. So I think you just have to be conscious with it, just like anything else. Like, I still drink alcohol. I watch TV. I eat McDonald's. Like, I do these things consciously, and even like with like McDonald's, say, I'm not eating that being like, this is fucking up my body and this is so bad for me. I'm like, this is food and this is nourishment. It's quick and easy. It's on my way home from work. That placebo effect plays into anything 100%. That we do. And I think that it just depends on your personality. But I think anything that you do, you should be intentional with. If, you know, that's the whole thing about getting sucked into, like, the job and the corporate life and the machine of even just our own daily lives. Like, how are you being a sovereign being in a world that is so loud and so stimulating? You have to be intentional.
Yeah. Okay, see, that's what, thank you. Because that was my whole thing, is like, for me, I was like, okay. And when I told some people, they were like, well, give it a few days and you'll probably start having like some withdrawal symptoms. Right. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know the process. Like, nobody talks a lot about it. And 2 weeks go by and I'm like, this shit's a fucking piece of cake. Like, of course there's times where I'm like, oh man, a joint sounds great right now. Yeah. Like, but it was like, it's okay. Good. Let's just keep on pushing.
Yeah. I've never experienced withdrawal symptoms. No. It's just that, like, it's hard to stop when you're doing it every single day.
Yeah.
And kind of having a ritual around it. Like, for me, I would, like, drop the kids off, and then I would have, 3 hours before I go to work, and I'd be like, cool, perfect time to smoke. But I would also kind of run my day around when I could smoke, because it'd be after kids drop off. But then, okay, when do I go to work? And I need to be, like, I can't smoke 2 hours before I go to work so I can be clear at work. Yeah. And when that was my mindset, it was like, okay, this is like a little bit of an addictive tendency. But chemically, never had withdrawals. Have never had withdrawals.
Yeah, and then I was thinking, well, maybe I'll have problems going to sleep now. Or will my hunger change because I'm not consuming like that? And yeah, no, I was completely fine. Also, just the fasting alone will make you either really tired or really hungry. Yeah. So that was a perk. So I was like, I gotta just like work that out. But it was like, yeah, I'm like, I think some of y'all are like, whenever I see those posts where they're like, I stopped smoking weed, and I'm like, and this is what I found, and my head is clear, and all this, and I'm just like, oh, y'all are the ones who was using it as a clutch. Like, there's because like, I think everybody should take breaks with whatever that they're doing, just to reevaluate and reapproach it to make sure that we're doing it not just out of, the benefits that it brings, but also because we, are coming at it with good intention. So thank you for doing that.
And there are people like, I'm on antidepressants, for instance, and there are people that use cannabis as their antidepressant. Pharmaceuticals don't work for them. I have a friend, like an online friend, Miyabe, and they talk about this all the time, that like, and they're a high dose cannabis user, so they're doing bongs throughout the day, they're doing like dabs, and they do like weighing out CBD and THC and really using it as medicine. And there's such a stigma around people that are high all day. But if you're using it as, like you say, an antidepressant or just a medicine, like, why are we not seeing that as a pharmaceutical benefit versus if it comes from a lab, then that's okay. But if you're just getting high all day, then it's not okay. But it's like, okay, well,
it's because they didn't make it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I just can't do the stigma on the plant. Like, I just don't understand. I think as someone that has seen the benefits from cannabis, And also with the mind like being more clear, I do see that when I do take breaks, but I can also have a really clear mind when I am smoking. So it's just about the personal experience. And like even you saying like the sativa indica thing, the genetics have gone so out of control because we're selecting for high THC. We're like kind of sexually depriving or sexually frustrating the females that are in the grows too. And it just, the way that we're selecting for genetics now is way different than it has been. So the plant is very different. So it's just something to be aware of. And especially when you're a consumer, like try to consume from growers that are doing things ethically and not these I won't name them, but these places that do, you know, that are doing it on such a large scale that they're just like neglecting the plant and not paying her any homage.
We gotta pay her homage.
Yeah,
Mary
you know,
Jane.
Right. Well, and it's like a whole. I didn't think we'd talk about this, but like it plays into misogyny in the world, right? Like this is a female plant, and then we get her sexually frustrated so that she makes more THC for us, so that we can use her to smoke. So like if we're just smoking to like smoke and have it as like just like you would drink to get drunk, then I don't know. I just feel like vibrationally that probably doesn't set you up to be.
No, it becomes more of a siphon and a drainer than it is of the appreciation.
Exactly. Yeah, that's when I feel like the people are like, oh, weed is bad for you and da-da-da. It's like, well, yeah, look how you're consuming it and look at your intention with consuming it.
Right. Ooh, I love that. I didn't even think about that. But it's true. It's just like you build her up, you get her all nice and horny, and then you just like fuck off. And it's like, and then she's just like, for what? I did this for what?
Right.
It's like, clean me up at least.
I know. And I'd love to talk about cannabis and breastfeeding.
I was just going to ask you, like, yes, to now promote. No, for real. I was literally about to segue there. I'd be like, so now bring it into the postpartum, or even just the pregnancy and postpartum world. Because I know plenty of friends, or people who are not friends anymore, who participated the entire time. And I mean, I feel like when I seen their little offspring, they were fine, right? But you know, it's like there's still that stigma where it's like, oh my god, you're smoking. But it's like people were smoking cigarettes pregnant and it was no problem. Nobody gave a fuck. Shit, drinking alcohol, and it was like, but as soon as you brought in cannabis, it was like, whoa.
Right. And this whole comparison, like, oh, you're a bad mother if you can't go through pregnancy.
Gonna have autism.
Oh god, I can't even. But so here's the tea. Your body, we have an endocannabinoid system, just like we have a skeletal system, a nervous system. We have a system that creates endocannabinoids, which are cannabis-like compounds made in the body. So, God, I can't even think of the names anymore of them. But this, to me, is evidence of symbiosis, that we have evolved with these plants. So when our body is mimicking the plant, that to me is like, oh, we need this plant to be like healthy within our body. Just like we take zinc and vitamin C for our immunity, we're taking in cannabis to kind of help with this endocannabinoid system, keep it healthy, keep it running. So when you are breastfeeding, body feeding, your body is producing endocannabinoids to go to the baby. So in my opinion, that feels like your baby needs those endocannabinoids for their immunity. There is a new being in this world that has to build up their immune system. They have to build up their skeletal system. Like, to me, that is the ultimate medicine, you know, just like a peptide being passed through your body, or like glucose, you know, it to me is the same thing as glucose. It's an essential building block of a human body. So that's what I always tell people when they're like, can I still breastfeed, and what do you think about it? And honestly, like, you're the authority on your body. If we're outsourcing all of our actions to a doctor who they went to medical school, they have the training, that's great. we're in collaboration with our doctors. Our doctors are not the ultimate authority on our body. And if you don't have a doctor that has that mindset, I would run and find a new doctor. I have done that many times. Right. My kid's first pediatrician, that was when I was vegan, and I like told her that I was vegan, and she was judgmental about it. And so I went and found a new pediatrician who was like, great, and so this is the things that we need to look out for in vegan kids, and you need to beef up with this, but someone that's going to collaborate with you is what you want.
Right.
If you are an everyday smoker, it's kind of like they tell you in pregnancy, if you've already been a runner, keep running. If you've already been consuming cannabis, keep consuming. Maybe don't do it as like if you're doing it 8 times a day, you know, you could cut back. I think I definitely did, and I did the packs when I was pregnant just to have it cleaner. If you're using like a bowl, you want to be really cautious about cleaning the bowl, because there are the carcinogens that build up. Anything that's black, you're not lighting on fire, that is a carcinogen. So we want to be more mindful in our consumption. One thing I did with my first pregnancy was in the 3rd trimester, I switched to edibles only. I kind of wish I had done that in my 2nd trimester or my 2nd pregnancy. And a lot of people take Zofran that has all kinds of side effects and can harm your baby just as much, if not more, than a plant can. So if you're like, I experienced insane nausea. I would have not made it through the day if I didn't have the cannabis. Yeah. Especially for when you're nauseous, you can't eat. You have to eat when you're pregnant. Or you're going to feel even it exacerbates the like feeling of nausea and just not feeling good. So you got to do what you are called to do, and if you don't know how to do that, find a healer, find someone like Ransom to work with, find someone. You know, I'm, like I said, kind of out of the work, but get my deck and ask it a question, you know? I don't do readings anymore because I have the deck to give to people, and that's like a reading for me. But work with, you know, there's so many metaphysical healers that can work with you and help you tap into your intuition. There's courses on it. There's countless videos on YouTube. It's just about having that self-empowerment to make those own choices for your body. And especially like we're seeing people have pregnancies later, and then the medical system wants to tell you that you're a geriatric pregnancy at 35 when it's like, are you sure? Are you sure? Or is this old research that you're going off of, and that we actually haven't done new studies on what is a geriatric pregnancy? Because I had preeclampsia with my first. And then they told me that the only way to not have preeclampsia again was to take baby aspirin every day. And to me, it didn't feel right in my body to take it every day. I wasn't on an antidepressant then, and I wasn't on like pharmaceuticals every day. So it didn't feel right for me. So I did it when I felt my muscles were tight. I was like, oh, let me take a baby aspirin. That would be nice. And then I really did so much mindset work. Our mind is so powerful. So it goes back to the placebo effect. If you think, or if a doctor is telling you, and doctors told me, even my midwives at the birth center were telling me, you know, we're worried that you're not going to be able to birth here again because you had preeclampsia last time. So the chances of you having it again. And I was just like, no, I don't want to have the birth in the hospital. I want to experience it unmedicated, without, you know, medical intervention or anything. I just want to experience that. And I'm not going to lie, it took a lot of work, but I did it. I actually made a course from that situation. It's called Bloom from Your Womb, and it's like each trimester, there's a module on pregnancy, postpartum, birth, all of these things to really walk people through this process that I was kind of alone in. Because people just didn't understand. Even my husband didn't like understand what was going on, and was kind of listening to the doctors. And there's a whole like pain-free birth community that I think is really supportive of mothers and birthers just choosing their own path and really blocking out the noise, because you really have to be so sovereign when you're pregnant, and you really cannot take on all of this information. You really have to be able to tap into your intuition, not just for you, but for your baby.
Yeah.
And figure out what's right for both of you, because you're housing that human, and you're like the ultimate authority on both of you guys.
For sure. What you take in, what is going out. Oh, I love it.
Even like sushi, like they were like, oh, don't eat sushi.
Yeah, there's a stigma with the fish.
And I'm like, I get that there could be bacteria in it and all this stuff, but I was craving sushi so bad one week, and I ate sushi every day. And I was like, it's good for me. I'm like, if you, and to each their own, like, I'm not saying, hey, go eat sushi. But if you're craving sushi and you want sushi, don't not get it because a doctor told you that you can't have it.
Yeah.
You know, like, or if you want to jump on a fucking trampoline and you're used to that. Like, I was doing back handsprings on a trampoline in my second trimester. And I'm like, why? Yeah. This is fun. This is nice for me. My body feels good.
Into the pregnancy.
For sure. Yeah. And it again goes back to this misogyny of like, you know, someone who can't birth, telling a birther to do things with their body that they have no idea about it goes back to just that misogynistic world, and I'm just not having it. So the more women that I can empower, and the more birthers I can empower to listen to their own intuition and their own bodies, because even what I'm saying, anything I'm saying that doesn't resonate with you, like, that is your intuition guiding you. So you really have to listen to what your own internal guidance is.
And I'm sure people are wondering, are your kids weird? Do they have problems? Like,
no, they're great.
How are your kids, right? Like, anything sus with
them? No, not at all.
Yay, see, they're fine.
Right. And I know so many people that are like, oh, I couldn't tell anyone, but I smoked during my pregnancy, and I was smoking during postpartum, and they're good. And I mean, I did mushrooms when I was breastfeeding, and people will tell you like pump and dump, and I've like felt the milk, and I held it in my hand, and I just feel like a yes or a no. It's just very, again, just tapping into your intuition and trusting in yourself. We don't need this like medical device or anything to tell us what we already know. And it takes a minute to get to that place of trust within yourself of like, I know, and I can tell just by holding this if it's good or bad. But it like makes me so sad for the amount of milk that's been dumped because people think that they can't feed it to their kid, and it's like that's liquid gold, and you don't just have to like pour it down the sink.
Thank you. Yes. And I mean, I reached out to you for a few friends who were like, I want to do things, but also, you know, and I think that was just beautiful in itself of being like, oh, you guys think, like, y'all think I know somebody who knows this stuff, and I do. Yay. And so that's when I had reached out, and I was like, hey, look, homegirl's trying to do some, you know, she's not going to take a big amount, but like she wants to have a good time. Like, you know, is this going to like jeopardize the baby? Like, what can you say? And like you said, you're like, nah, like use in moderation, but like ultimately trust your gut. Like, and she did. And she was like, you know what, I'm only going to take this much. And then it was a great night, and it was fine. Baby's cool. Like there was no issues. I'd say the boyfriend had more of a problem just because he's like, you're gonna be high around the kid, and like, oh my god, it's like she's gonna be fine. Like, no, she's been smoking with the kid in her. It's like ain't nothing changing. Yeah, like, but you know, there's just part of that like societal fear that's put on of like, you can't do anything. You got a prized possession in there, like fucking just bedridden. Sit.
Yeah.
Stay.
You are handicapped now, so sit down and don't do anything. And yes, ask for help when you need it, and you don't have to go do everything, but if you want to do the things that you have done,
just fucking do it.
Do it. Like, I even had my pediatrician say to me, if you can see your baby, you can feed your baby. When that was with respect to alcohol. So alcohol that we know is not great for our body. That's from a pediatrician saying you can be hammered basically and still feed your baby, so why would you not be able to do that with a plant that we have? Our body is making the same compounds that this plant produces.
And I just feel like that's also giving your kid a better chance to, like, when they do come out and they have to like get hit with the world's pollution, that they have a fighting chance,
Mm-hmm.
versus like we know trying to be vanilla and like be like, oh no, we gotta keep you sheltered and stuff.
Right.
They have way more problems,
Yeah.
and they're sick all the time because their body never built
Mm-hmm.
the cells that would react, that say, hey, we've dealt with this before.
Mm-hmm.
We know what to do. And so it's like same with like those people with aromatherapy who are like, we don't want anybody to smell anything as natural, but then it kind of fucks them because everything has synthetic smells,
Mm-hmm.
and now you can't be in a room because your body's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Versus if you just were to get exposed, exposure therapy, you'd be fine.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can definitely go into this hyper anxious state when it comes to your kids, of just not wanting them to experience anything. And I was like that with my first son, with him being vegan. I was like, his asthma genes, I was deep into genetics at that point, so I'm like, his asthma genes are going to turn on if if he has meat. And so I was so paranoid about it. I was so in my head about it. I could not relax. And it just put me in such a state that I couldn't I could parent fine, but I wasn't okay mentally. And I just think to be in that state is just not going to serve your kids. Like, you want to be a good parent, and if you're just hyper anxious and constantly worried about them, that's going to be an issue. So if you just accept, like, and our kids aren't ours to keep at the end of the day. I've seen so many parents like lose their kids. So if more tech but like, our kids aren't ours to keep, and if they come into the world and you accept that like you're not guaranteed to pass away after them, I think that has given me such a freedom to just like enjoy them every single day, because I don't know, I don't have the plan of like their life here. And so why am I going to stress out about certain things when like they could be hit by a car tomorrow? There's just so many things that could happen in this world. But I think that knowing that we don't have all the answers just helps kind of open you up to not be so controlling with everything.
Yeah, and it obviously comes with love, but there is that need to recognize like the boundary and like what your part is to play in all of that in their life. And like on an energetic level, people forget that just worrying about a person creates evil eye, because you're saying that this person is not protected enough,
Right.
and you don't believe that they're protected enough. So there's that concern of like, oh, what if this happens, or what if I do say goodbye and they get hit by a car? It's like, don't put that out there.
Right.
Same thing with having control over your body. It's like, don't think bad things, and your body won't do bad things. You say you're stupid, you'll be stupid.
Right.
So absolutely.
Yeah, words are so important.
But I'm like, I'm gonna wrap us up now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap us up. But I loved having that conversation. I don't think, did I have you on my podcast before? Did I interview?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I was like, I have to look through my episodes again. I'm like, but I don't think we talked about this. But I'm glad that we did have this conversation, because this has been something I always wanted to poke your brain about.
Yeah.
But where we were at the time was more on the healing aspect. So I was going to poke your brain about being a doula.
Right.
And now it's like, nah, let's learn more, because
Yeah.
now that people are getting accepted, or like accepting it more. And then I think they just moved it down a class or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like it's making its way
For sure.
But
Which has good and bad implications, but it's for another day.
Absolutely. It's like, let's do some research, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you for giving your knowledge and also just like answering my questions and being the beautiful bee that you are. It was so good to see you and to catch up, and tell the people if you got anything going on or how they can grab your deck and stuff.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. But RainbowwRach.com, it has 2 W's in it. That's where you can find my deck, my courses, and you can even reach out to me if you want. I have from that Bloom From Your Room course, I have a free like journaling prompt exercise if you are pregnant and you need to work through any of these fears, especially if you're a second-time parent. Just reach out on the Contact Me page, and I can send you that PDF.
Heck yeah.
Cool.
And you guys already know you can find me on Instagram at Expansion with Ransom LLC. If you want to be a guest, you can email me or send me a message on Instagram. But I hope you enjoyed this episode and all the other episodes before and the ones to come. And I will see you on the next episode.
The cup works on like suction, and then the disc you just like slide up, and then it just hangs out, and nothing like the
It
cup,
just like plugs it like a bathtub.
But it's not a suction. Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
And the cup is a suction, which I don't enjoy.
See, that's what I mean. Is like, and then you gotta like.
You should just try. Just give her a try.
I just feel like